Dr. Gagan.
Thank you very much. This evening, it is my pleasure to share with you my State of the Schools presentation. Now, typically, we don't have a lot of people who would show up to participate live, but fortunately, as you can see on YouTube, we are recording. We will also take a version of this, maybe cut it down, maybe bookmark it. We'll still see what we're going to do with that and post it on Parent Square so others can see that as well. You know, when it comes to similar format where I'll talk about where we were, where we are, and where we're going. I'm still going to hit those topics, but I think in light of recent events and questions that we've had, I'm going to take a slightly different approach this evening. Maybe. Let's see, Todd. Oh, no, there it is. So the first thing I'm going to address is I am going to talk about navigating uncertainty. It's not going to be the focus of this presentation, but it will be an underlying theme throughout. And I will continue to refer to it in different sections because it kind of intertwines into most components of what we do. We are in a time of uncertainty. For some, this can cause anxiety, others, excitement. My goal tonight is to share with you where we are as a school district and why we're in a position to handle the uncertainty that's in front of us. So this is how you can feel, kind of just tilting your head back and forth as you're trying to figure out what exactly is going on. This is where we are. I can tell you about what we're going to do, but I can't tell you exactly how all aspects of uncertainty will unfold. This applies in many different ways in my mind, where you do find yourself, whether it could be a news story, social media post, some sort of thing like that, and you just find your head twisting. You're just trying to figure out specifically what is going on. We've been here before. Reflecting on my tenure here in Westlake, we've settled and recovered from a strike, consolidated four elementary schools into one, and educated students during a global pandemic. This is not our first rodeo. What I'm going to do today is we're going to unpack this on a federal and state level and see what it is we're actually dealing with. So let's talk about it on a federal level first. The primary question I get is this: if the Department of Education closes, how does this impact the Westlake City School District? My answer is the primary benefit to our school district operationally is funding. I've seen our funding amounts reported differently with different amounts. I've seen different things posted on social media or news outlet sites about the amount of money that we receive federally. So I do want to say that we have three primary funding resources on the federal level. The first one is Title I. I'm able to tell you that this year we received $420,000 in Title I monies. IDEA, which is for special education, we received $914,000. And for free and reduced lunch services, last year it was $557,000. The reason I'm using last year's money for free and reduced lunch is because we get reimbursed for that. So I can tell you what we received this current year in Title I and IDEA, but I have to refer back to last year in order to tell you what we received in federal funding for that. So that's about $2 million. When you add in a few other smaller grants, it's probably between $2 and $2.5 million is what we receive federally. For reference, our annual budget is around $60 million. So even though $2 million is a lot of money, when you look at a $60 million budget, it's not as large. We've not received any indication that these funds are going to be eliminated or reduced. We've heard that the funding streams are either going to be moved to another department or sent directly to the state. Operationally, we currently, so the point that I'm going to make in this bullet, when we look at it operationally, we currently access and manage these funds through the Ohio Department of Educational Workforce. In that website, we have our entire spreadsheets. They kind of look like spreadsheets, but we manage federal grants. Oh, right here. We manage federal grants through that website. Our consultants are from ODE or ODEW now. And as a matter of fact, you just had a desk review. I think it was Paul, Todd, and Amanda a couple weeks ago, and that was through Department of Educational Workforce. So the major point that I want to make is, regardless of the decisions that are made on a federal level, the Westlake City Schools will continue to educate all students. Decisions made federally will have little to no impact on the day-to-day operation of our schools. That's something that I really feel like I have to say, because the group that we really heard from the most are the parents of students with disabilities. And there's a level of anxiety that if something happens with the U.S. Department of Education, will we still be providing the services to students with disabilities? And the answer is yes. It's less than $1 million that we receive from there, and our special ed budget is much larger than $1 million. Getting into state funding and legislation, we're not only facing uncertainty on the federal level, but also on the state level. In my opinion, it's the decisions on the state level that can have the greatest impact on the Westlake City Schools. And I'll hit a couple areas. I'll start with funding. So in the governor's current budget proposal, he has the Westlake City School District experience an increase of $560,000 in the 25-26 school year, and an increase of $510,000 in the in the 26-27 school year. What I want to emphasize is that this is a proposal. So this is what the governor put out as a proposal. It is a long way away from being final. It has to go through a lot of different versions. So what I'm saying is, even though we're looking at it and saying we're seeing a potential increase of $560,000 in 25-26 and a potential increase of $510,000 in 26-27, the budget deadline is June, Todd?
June 30th.
June 30th. By that June 30th deadline, it could look very different. So I don't want people to be watching this on YouTube or listening in here saying, well, you're going to get this much money, because we don't know that. So when it comes to legislation, I'm not going to go through and list specific legislation and say, here's what I think about this one or that one. So it's not about one particular bill or legislation. It's about the general sentiment towards public schools. My concern is what appears to be a lack of value and respect afforded to public schools. In Ohio, I've heard that range of between 7 or 8 out of 10 students in Ohio attend public schools. I want to emphasize we are a crucial part of our state and local communities. In many cases, we're also one of the largest employers in a community. I do believe that a strong community has strong public, private, and charter schools. My position is not against anyone who wants to educate students. It's against the devaluing the public schools in favor of others. We also work well with our local legislators. I'm in favor of statewide goals of improving literacy, career technical education, and numeracy. We all benefit when our state is a place where businesses want to come and open their doors. We want to ensure that there's a talented and ready workforce. That's in the best interest of all of us. Our ask is that legislators work with us so we can implement these goals effectively. Overall, the view of public education matters. If a state values education and views us as a partner to reach the goals of our state, it impacts the decision-making one way. If the state does not value public education and views us as a hindrance to those goals, it's going to make their decisions go a different way. So let's bring back the federal funding. Some of the different things that we hear is that it can be moved to another department, like special ed can go Health and Human Services, and then other conversations, it's, well, that monies can be pushed to the state to distribute. Well, think about what I just said. If the state's opinion, if it goes down and if the federal funding then goes to the state's opinion could impact how they distribute those funds. So that's one of the things why I don't think it's right to identify an individual or particular bill, but really to emphasize the value of public education and what we provide to our communities in our state. So what are we doing on a state level? We believe in public schools. Your school board, your administration, your staff are all in. We believe in our community, our students, and our families. We advocate individually and through our organizations. Those organizations include OSBA, that our board members are part of, BASA, OASBO, and our district is also a member of the Alliance for High Quality Education, where I serve on their executive board. An example of the advocacy of the Alliance for High Quality Education was to work on an increase of state funding contribution to our schools. Previously, we were a 5% district. So what a 5% district means is this. A 5% district is when it comes to state funding, we would get 5% of every dollar. So if state funding for the year was $1, we would get a nickel. And one of the things that we advocated for was that percentage to increase. And we were able to work with our legislators to have that increase go from 5% to 10%. That not only impacts us in state funding, but if they were to apply a percentage to other forms of funding, it impacts that as well. So if a grant's out there or some other opportunity and we're set to get 5% of that, then that change now puts us in a position to get 10% of that. So that was a really big piece of advocacy that we believed in. We're also active. We meet as a group and discuss legislation that is either being proposed or ideas that are being floated for future proposals. This is not only beneficial to us as educators, but also to legislators so they can hear the true or unforeseen impact of legislation. We dealt with that with Senate Bill 29. We worked with them on that. There were some issues that were unforeseen in there, then went back and they actually changed the legislation to fix those issues. So it's not just going in and asking, it's being a partner in a lot of these school policies. So what can you do? First and foremost, advocate for public education. Advocate for the implementation of the Fair School Funds formula. Let your legislators know that special education, support for struggling learners, and programs that support school lunch are important to you. We found that legislators listen, and in general, they're good people. The biggest and most influential impact you can have is here within the state of Ohio. And I encourage you to speak to your representatives. So now let's talk about the Westlake schools. From slide here, as it says, from uncertainty to action. No matter what you see on the news or social media, we still have schools to run. Our students count on us to be here for them every day. Westlake City Schools through the years, sorry. I do it on mine here, and I need to do it up there too so you guys can see it. We've been steady and strong. The Westlake City School District has run well. We're consistently working on improving our process educationally and operationally. When you hear a lot of chatter outside of your organization, you can chase the streams or the threads down a rabbit hole or look internally. At those times, we look at our measuring sticks. What is it that we usually focus on during a state of the schools? It's those items that I will now reflect on. And my point is, there's going to be a lot of external talk. There's going to be different feeds that you have or any type of thing like that. And we hear those things, but then we look inside and we say, okay, we're hearing that, but what's actually happening? So I'm going to break this down into some of our measuring sticks. The first measuring stick that I'm going to talk about is finance. With all the talk about funding, where are we? This is important because if you don't have funding, you can't have programs. In regard to fiscal responsibility, Westlake is second to none. I'm going to start with our treasurer, Todd Hopkins. I will say honestly, he's the best treasurer that I've had the pleasure to work with. No jokes being put in there or anything like that. I usually would add one of those, but I am not. He is a great treasurer. Todd's office staff and our directors play a huge role in our fiscal management. They work within their budgets, securing, optimizing grants, engaging community partners to provide opportunities and services to our students. I'll give you an example. Starting off this year, we had some great news that we're able to renew our partnership with the university hospitals. They committed to donating $500,000 over the next 10 years to the district while providing 2.5 athletic trainers to our schools. This change, this 2.5 trainers, is an increase from 1, which is a significant cost to university hospitals. So it's not only a wonderful cash donation, but also continuous service to our high school and then expanding the services to our middle school. So our middle school athletes can also have access to training services. The other thing, remember to hit it twice. The other thing is staffing. So through our directors and building leadership, the management of staffing levels is a huge component of our fiscal management. This is the #1 expense in any school district. If you go to any school, surrounding areas across Ohio, the #1 expense is staff. So the management of staff is crucial. In our last state of the schools last year, I shared our plan to reduce staffing. We recognize that our enrollment is down, but it is down in most communities as well. We track our staffing data. We know that this year we have 21 teachers eligible for retirement. We also know that at least 8 more are eligible next year. With proper planning, our goal is to reduce staff and in some areas increase opportunity and choice. I'll get to an example of that when I talk about engaging our students. We project that over the next 3 years, we will be able to accomplish our goals primarily through attrition. The tricky part could be certification with current staff. We will try and move folks from place to place. However, licensure issues I wanted to point that out there. This was not initiated by any announcement or projection of a reduction of funds. We believe it's a proper way for an organization to operate. Districts really get into trouble when they don't do this. It can lead to drastic cuts and a negative impact on students. Earlier, I mentioned that Westlake's story is second to none. It truly is. In our district, we have a robust course catalog for our students, ideal class sizes, new facilities, including turfed baseball and softball fields, which just happened last year, and reserves to support us through uncertain times. Additionally, the district has not received an operating levy since May of 2016. So 2006, I apologize, May of 2006. That puts us, so in a couple months, we'll be hitting the 19th anniversary of the last operating levy passed in the Westlake schools. This contributes to the information you see on this map. This represents the millage that is used for educational purposes in each community. This includes funds that go directly to the school districts, but also to a JVS. Now, when you look at Westlake, Bay Village, and Rocky River, we are in a consortium. So we as a school district pay the consortium directly. In other communities, there is a tax that's levied directly to the taxpayers that go directly to the joint vocational school. So when you take those two forms of tax revenue, put them together, that's the millage. Not only is Westlake the lowest millage in any of our neighboring communities, but we're also the lowest in Cuyahoga, Lorain, and Medina County. So when you think about that, that's pretty amazing. Not being on the ballot for almost 20 years and still being able to maintain what we maintain. So the next measuring stick that I want to look at is the state report card. 2 years ago, we received 5 stars. Last year, it was 4.5 stars. This was primarily due to, I wonder if I can't circle it. But if you see in the bottom middle, the early literacy, it's with that component category. We did go through this and previously shared this in a board meeting, but we did utilize a different measuring tool that triggered another report card element. So it wasn't that our delivery has changed or, the early childhood folks did anything wrong or any type of thing like that. We used a different assessment tool that then triggered another element within there. We did go back to the previous assessment, but I want to make clear that we do use other assessments as well to ensure that we're able to get all of the students the assistance that they need. So I'm going to bring back that thread of uncertainty. I said that I was going to bring it up in other aspects here. One of the issues when you try and run your district looking at a report card is this. It changes. And I'll point out 2 examples in here. So early literacy, they said, well, you know what? This was a reason here. We resolved that issue. And now in early literacy, they're talking about potentially taking out a data component, which is specifically promotion to 4th grade. Well, we promote 100% of our students from 3rd grade to 4th grade. So it's a really good input for us. And they're talking about removing that. So we don't know if they're going to do that and what that means to early literacy for us in the future. The other part is just to the right of it where it says college, career, workforce, and military readiness. You could see that that is not recorded on the report card yet. The issue is it is not 100% clear of how that's going to be completely measured. And it's supposed to go on the report card for next year, but in the governor's budget bill, he does have a proposal in there to wait 1 more year. So back to the uncertainty, we don't know. So when I look at this sort of thing, we can't control the report card. We kind of look at the inputs, make the adjustments as we can, but it is something that we just don't know everything that's going to be in there. So here's what we can control. That's engaging our students. Our first area of focus when we look at engaging our students is teaching and learning. We've worked with our staff to acquire new resources to support them in educating our students. We're also committed to helping our staff successfully implement these new resources. So what we've been doing is our academic team has worked really hard with our teachers to identify math, ELA, other subjects where we purchase new resources. And it's not just about buying the stuff. It's about working together to be able to implement it consistently, because you're going to start implementing it, pull back, meet as a team, maybe bring in a rep from the company, make sure that we're applying it right. So there's a lot of work that happens instead of just buying it. So that's been a big component for us as well. Additionally, buildings are expanding and improving collaborative groups such as their teacher-based teams and professional learning communities. Time is also committed to the science of reading and the literacy implementation. We are very grateful for the 3 professional development days that we've had, and we appreciate the planning that goes into making those days useful. So I mentioned earlier that I was going to talk about when we're looking at reducing staff but expanding opportunities. One goal that we had was to expand choice for students. This will be new to students on the Dover campus next year. The schedule adjustment and choice is a result of adding new tech courses to each building. In Dover Intermediate School, they'll be able to choose to take courses in the science of technology and design and modeling. In Lee Burnison Middle School, students will be able to take courses in automation and robotics, as well as app creation. Another positive result would be the ability for students who participate in a music program to be able to take that music program for 5 days a week instead of 3 days a week. Now, if they take multiple music programs, they're still going to have to split that the 3 days a week. But if they commit to one, they'll get the 5 days a week. And right now they can't do that. Speaking of career tech, at West Shore, Career Technical Programs MEMS, which is the micro soldering of computer chips, and welding open next year. At Westlake High School, we are starting a forensic course that already has 120 students enrolled. We're proud to be improving classroom instruction for all students while expanding the choice and opportunities for all of them. School safety. This is the third measuring stick I want to discuss. If our students are not safe, none of the previous items that I've shared so far even matter. School safety has been a gradual and consistent commitment by the Westlake City Schools. For years, we've had SROs in every building. Our buses have stop arm cameras. We have a threat assessment team in each building, flock cameras on each campus, etc. This year, we will be adding the Centigic alert system. This will be a clicker on each staff member to alert colleagues and others about different situations that can occur. It can alert people of just room issues, like in a standard click. Could be a medical concern. It could be an altercation between students, or a much more serious incident that could result in a lockdown. Tying this back to the finance section, we also applied for a grant of $40,000 from Attorney General Yost to help make this happen. Now, we have since received that grant and will be using it towards that. Finally, our strategic planning. We're proud of what we're doing as a district. However, we know that we need to consistently improve. It's time for us to complete our new strategic plan. We are working with the impact group to engage our stakeholders. They've met with focus groups consisting of administrators, staff members, parents, community members, and they have individual meetings scheduled with Board of Education members. There's also a survey that is live to gain feedback from families, community members, and staff. Our focus is on educating for excellence today and in our future. The calm and the storm. We understand that there's a great deal of uncertainty surrounding education right now. I shared this story actually with my administrative team, and I even talked about it with our PTA. I'll be honest with you, I don't like flying. Every time I get on a plane, I think it's my last day on earth. I just don't like it at all. I find myself looking at the flight attendants. And when I feel turbulence, I hear a noise, we make an unexpected turn, which is unexpected to me because I have no idea which way we're going. So they're all unexpected. But I tend to look over at the flight attendant. And if they're moving along, passing out snacks, soft drinks, that sort of thing, if they're not showing that, but if they're running back to their booster seat or whatever it is and strapping down, I know there's something to be concerned about. One of the things that I talked to my leadership about, and what I also believe our board has done, is we are the calm. We are the people who they're going to look to see if everything's okay. And that, I think, is really important for us. We are experiencing some turbulence. I want to balance this message. On one hand, I want to assure you that we're going to be okay. With that being said, I do encourage you to advocate for public education. Let your leaders know what is important to you. It could be public education in general. It can be special education, support services, whatever it is you believe. Make your voice known. I close by pledging to you that the Westlake City Schools are focused and ready to continue caring for your children. You're now free to move about the cabin. Thank you.
Thank you.